Somewhere on Earth, a person is standing in the middle of the sky. Not falling, not floating, just standing there while clouds drift past beneath their feet. And in another place entirely, a cave ceiling is quietly glowing. No wires, no bulbs, nothing built by human hands. Ten places. No CGI. Just this planet doing something you have to see to believe. For most of the year, this place looks like a dead, cracked desert. Then the rain comes and it becomes something else entirely. This is Salar de Uyuni, high in the Bolivian Andes, the largest salt flat on Earth at over 10,000 square kilometers, bigger than the country of Jamaica. It's what's left of a prehistoric lake that dried up thousands of years ago, leaving a salt crust so flat that satellite engineers use it to calibrate altimeters in orbit, because almost nothing else on the planet's surface is level enough to trust. During the rainy season, roughly December through April, a thin film of water, sometimes just a few centimeters, settles across the flat with almost no wind to disturb it. The result is often called the largest natural mirror on Earth, and in the right conditions, the horizon simply disappears. Beneath all that salt sits something else worth mentioning. An estimated 50 to 70% of the world's known lithium reserves, which means this quiet, reflective landscape may soon matter as much for batteries as it does for photographs. Underground, in total darkness, hundreds of feet below New Zealand's North Island, something is watching for its next meal. And it does it by lighting up. The Waitomo caves are home to Arachnocampa luminosa, a fungus gnat larva found only in New Zealand. Each larva glows a soft blue-green through a chemical reaction in its own body, then dangles dozens of sticky silk threads from the ceiling like fishing line. Flying insects are drawn to the light, get caught in the threads, and become dinner. The view tourists travel across the world to photograph is, underneath it, a trap. Tours run in near total silence for a practical reason, not just atmosphere. The glowworms are sensitive to sound and light, and loud noise or a camera flash can cause them to dim. So cameras are restricted, and guides speak in a whisper. The caves were carved by underground rivers over roughly 30 million years. And English surveyor Fred Mace back in 1887, meaning people have been coming here to stare at this ceiling for well over a century. From below, these pillars seem to hover, cut loose from the ground entirely. From above, you can see why. Zhangjiajie National Forest in Hunan Province holds over 3,000 narrow quartzite sandstone pillars, some rising past 200 meters, roughly the height of a 65-story building. They formed over roughly 380 million years through a slow, patient process, water repeatedly freezing and expanding in cracks, plant roots wedging the stone apart, until individual towers separated from what was once a single continuous plateau. Director James Cameron confirmed this landscape inspired the floating Hallelujah Mountains in Avatar, and one pillar, formerly called Southern Sky Column, was renamed Avatar Hallelujah Mountain in 2010 as a result, drawing a new wave of visitors hoping to see the real version of a place they first saw on screen. The park also holds a glass-bottomed bridge suspended roughly 300 meters above a canyon, letting visitors take in the scale of these pillars from directly above them, rather than only from the valley floor. From a distance, this hillside looks buried under snow. The temperature says otherwise. The white terraces at Pamukkale, Turkish for Cotton Castle, are warm to the touch. Their travertine, a form of limestone built up when mineral-rich, hot spring water flows down the slope, and slowly deposits calcium carbonate as it cools. Given thousands of years, that slow mineral buildup carved a series of terraced pools, still fed by warm water people have soaked in since antiquity. Directly above the terraces sit the ruins of Hierapolis, a Greco-Roman spa city founded around the 2nd century BCE specifically to take advantage of these springs. Wealthy Romans travelled here for the water's supposed healing properties, and a well-preserved amphitheatre and bath complex still stand above the terraces today. UNESCO listed Pamukkale and Hierapolis together in 1988, and access to certain pools is now carefully rotated so the fragile mineral formations aren't worn down by foot traffic. This ground is being pulled apart 1 millimeter at a time, and the colors underneath are what surface when it happens. The Danakil Depression in northeastern Ethiopia sits where 3 tectonic plates are slowly separating, a process geologists believe is tearing open the very earliest stage of a new ocean basin. That activity feeds the Dalol hydrothermal field, where sulfur, iron oxide and salt combine with acidic hot springs into pools and crusts colored in shades that appear vivid even without heavy color correction. Nearby, Erta Ale is one of the few volcanoes on Earth that keeps a lava lake actively churning in its summit crater, meaning a demanding overnight trek to the rim rewards visitors with a direct view into moving, glowing rock. Danakil also ranks among the hottest inhabited regions commonly measured on Earth, with average annual temperatures above 34 degrees Celsius, 94 degrees Fahrenheit. It's still home to the Afar people, some of whom mine salt from these plains using methods that have barely changed in generations. If a botanist from any other continent landed here blind, they might not recognize a single tree. Socotra, off the coast of Yemen, is best known for its dragon's blood trees, Dracaena tinnabari, found only on this island. Their umbrella-shaped canopy is an adaptation to reduce evaporation and shade the tree's own roots in Socotra's harsh climate. Cut the bark, and a deep red sap runs out. The same sap traded across the ancient world as dragon's blood used for centuries in dye, medicine and varnish. Socotra split from mainland Africa somewhere between 6 and 18 million years ago, and that long isolation let evolution take its own path here. Roughly a third of the island's plant species and over 90% of its reptile species exist nowhere else on Earth. Numbers researchers often compare to the Galapagos. UNESCO listed Socotra as a World Heritage Site in 2008 for that biodiversity, and limited access has kept much of the island close to how it's looked for millions of years. No one carved this. Water did, one wave at a time, for 6,000 years. The marble caves, or cuevas de marmol, sit on General Carrera Lake, on the Chile-Argentina border in Patagonia. Constant wave action has slowly eroded tunnels, columns and chambers into the solid calcium carbonate rock. What makes the caves so striking is the lake itself, a glacially fed body of water known for an intensely saturated turquoise color that reflects and refracts off the pale marble walls in shifting patterns. That color comes from rock flour, glacial rock, ground down to microscopic dust and suspended in the meltwater, fine enough to stay afloat rather than sink, scattering sunlight into that vivid blue-green. Water levels shift by season, so the caves are usually easiest to explore and most dramatic during the southern hemisphere's summer, when lower water exposes more of the marble interior. Scoop this water into a bottle, carry it somewhere else, and it stays exactly the same color. That alone ruled out the obvious explanation. Lake Hillier, on Middle Island off Western Australia, usually retains its pink appearance throughout the year, ruling out a simple trick of reflected light off the surrounding landscape. The leading explanation points to the lake's extreme salt concentration combined with Dunaliella salina, a salt-loving algae that produces a red-orange pigment called beta-carotene, the same compound that colors carrots, as protection against intense sun and salinity. More recent research suggests certain salt-tolerant bacteria living alongside the algae may also shape the exact shade, meaning the full explanation is likely a combination rather than one single cause. Access to the island is restricted, so most people who've seen this color in person have seen it only from the air. one wasn't supposed to exist at all. In 1964, a geothermal energy company drilled a test well in the Nevada desert, hoping for water hot enough to be commercially useful. It wasn't quite hot enough, and the well was left improperly sealed. Decades of escaping mineral water slowly built up a mound of travertine rock around the wellhead, a mound that is technically still growing today. The color comes from thermophilic algae, heat-loving microorganisms that thrive in the constant warm flow and produce the same kind of red, green, and orange pigmentation seen in parts of Yellowstone. Fly Geyser sits on private land, visible for decades only from a distant highway, until the property was donated to a non-profit in 2016 and limited public tours began. A close-up look at something that's in geological terms barely 60 years old. At the wrong hour of the day, this place looks almost ordinary. Time it right, and the mountain seems to catch fire. The Zhangye Danxia landform in Gansu province built its color over roughly 24 million years of sedimentary layers. Sandstone deposits carrying different concentrations of iron and minerals, each reacting differently to oxidation. Movement in the tectonic plates gradually folded and tilted these once flat layers into the ridges visible today, a process known as Danxia landform formation. The colors shift with the light. Reds and oranges intensify sharply at sunrise and sunset, while overcast skies mute the palette considerably, which is why photographers plan their visits around a narrow window each day. Zhangye Danxia became part of a UNESCO World Heritage listing in 2010, and wooden walkways now keep visitors off the fragile rock itself. Ten places, 4 continents, no special effects, no digital enhancement, just geology working over millions of years, biology adapting in isolation, and in one case, a drilling mistake, nature quietly turned into something worth seeing. The planet we already live on still has landscapes strange enough to make people stop and ask if what they're looking at is even real. Subscribe to Wondervault as we uncover the strangest places, greatest mysteries, and most unbelievable discoveries on Earth.